No, I guess John should. Okay. Perfect. Probably we're busy today. Are they up?
Liz and Karen are here. Folks, we'll get going in a minute here. Liz got a flat tire on her wheelchair, so she's having a little bit of a slow time getting up here.
Start yet. I'm not ready. Can you open up?
All right, good evening, folks. Sorry for the delay in starting. We have some proclamations to give out tonight, so I'm going to ask the council to come join me down front, except for Liz. Or we can have people come up. That's true.
Just watch that one step, because I've already wrote that up.
Okay, we're going to pay honor tonight to some of our auxiliary police officers. They kind of, I guess I'll say a little bit of the unsung heroes. You see them directing traffic. You see them out there patrolling. And they're out there doing it unarmed compared to our police officers. So got to give them a little credit for that. And we had a situation here where some of them were patrolling in some the housing back here, and they came across some folks with some drug paraphernalia and kind of shoot them off and got the paraphernalia under control and got it off the street. And that's what these people do for us, and they do it as volunteers. So with that, I'm going to ask Sergeant Margarita Tamarit, Corporal John Gagan, and Petty Officer Stephen Whalen. So I'm going to read the proclamation. So whereas the City of Long Beach, which is to recognize those individuals and organizations that have contributed positively to the people and community at large, and whereas the City of Long Beach does desire to acknowledge and congratulate Sergeant Margarita Tamarit, Corporal John, am I saying it right, Gagan, and Petty Officer Police Officer Whalen, Petty Officer, sorry, my Navy days, going back to my Navy days, of the Long Beach Auxiliary Police Department in recognition of their actions during a vertical patrol of 415 National Boulevard on the night of Monday, January 6, 2020, and whereas Sergeant Tamarit, Corporal Gagan, I keep doing that, and Police Officer Whalen, during the course of a vertical patrol of the 415 National Boulevard, a Long Beach Housing Authority property, discovered a man acting suspiciously. Upon further investigation, the man was found in possession of drug paraphernalia, and after dropping the items, was ejected from the premises as per protocol, and they safeguarded the contraband quickly and alerted the police department. And now and therefore, the City Council and the City Manager of the City of Long Beach, in commendation of Sergeant Tamarit, Corporal Gagan, and Police Officer Whalen, for their quick and decisive action to ensure the safety of Housing Authority residents and further discourage such activity, proudly present this proclamation. And thank you.
We can just get you guys centered with the podium right here. We'll just get a quick picture. No, right here. Just try to get as tight as possible. Long Beach family, you know.
Liz has a flag.
You want to try that?
Thank you.
And I just want to acknowledge Auxiliary Police Commissioner Dennis Verzi is here as well.
Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach held Tuesday, February 4th, 2020 at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Delory. Here. Councilmember Mandel.
Here.
Councilmember Trustin.
Here.
Vice President McGinnis.
Here.
President Bendo.
Here.
Let the record indicate the presence of Acting City Manager John Mirando and Acting Corporation Counsel Rich Barrios. We'll now have a salute to the flag.
Mr. Barrios, would you lead us, please? Okay, we'll begin with our city manager's report.
Thank you. We'd like to thank everyone who came out to enjoy the events this past weekend, including the Snowflake Race on Saturday, February 1st, 2020, to honor the memory of Joe Farrell, as well as the thousands of folks who joined us on Super Bowl Sunday for the 20th anniversary of the Polar Bear Plunge to benefit Make-A-Wish Foundation. February marks Black History Month. Join friends and neighbors at the Long Beach Library next Wednesday, February 12th, for an open mic night celebrating the contributions of African Americans through literature and song. Participants will have the opportunity to perform poetry, short fiction readings, acoustic music performances, and monologues from Black writers, poets, and authors. Visit longbeachlibrary.org for more info and events. Last week, County Executive Laura Curran visited Long Beach to announce an award of $150,000 for the Nassau County Community Development's Office Transit-Oriented Development Initiative, funding which does not require a match from the city, which will be used to enhance safety and quality of life in and around the train station, including crosswalks, lighting, wayfinding, and plantings. The city will work with the county to determine specific projects for the funding, and a public hearing will be held once a draft plan is in place. Thank you to our staff for their hard work in securing this grant. Given the coronavirus outbreak in China and Air China's presence in Long Beach, our Office of Emergency Management contacted the Nassau County Office of Emergency Management as well as the Nassau County Health Department, and they have assured us that any airline staff coming into Kennedy Airport on Air China flights are screened just like passengers and should not pose any risks. Visit www.cdc.gov to learn more. As many of you are aware, Dave Frazier is serving presently as president of the Long Island Village Clerks Association, and they are running their food drive. We have a food drive box in the lobby, and this is a March for Hunger, which will be presented in March at the March meeting of the Village Clerks Association. So let's see if we can really fill these up and make Dave look good. Lastly, we recently experienced an issue with the street lights on the boardwalk. As a result of weathering from wind and salt air, 7 light fixtures fell to the ground. The city street lighting maintenance contractor, Wellsback Electric, was dispatched to inspect all the boardwalk light pole fixtures. After inspecting 113 light fixtures, 45 were required to be removed, and the remaining light fixtures were barricaded at the base in the event that any of them become loose. Public Works and the Office of Corporation Counsel are working to resolve this issue with the vendor, utilizing design expertise from Wellsback and MagnaFlood. MagnaFlood is a lighting company not involved with the design of the current boardwalk lights, and will provide updates as we move forward. And that's my report.
We're going to try something new as well. We're going to give a council update after the city manager gives his update. So the City Council would like to recognize that February is Black History Month. The theme for Black History Month is African Americans and the Vote. 2020, an important general election year, is also a landmark year for voting rights. 2020 marks the 150th anniversary of the 15th Amendment in 1870, which gave the right of black men to vote following the Civil War. The Council looks forward to collaborating with the city, schools, and communities in the events scheduled to celebrate this month. Last Monday evening, Vice President McGinnis and President Bendo met with the Long Beach Chamber of Commerce and helped hand out awards for the Electric Light Parade and the holiday windows. Congratulations to all, especially the city's rec department and Jamie Lynch. Councilman Delory attended the Catholic School Week events and he gave a proclamation acknowledging the work of the Long Beach Catholic Schools. He also attended the Farrell Snowflake Run and handed out awards to the top finishers. There were over 500 registrants, so a huge thank you to Kerry Ann Troy, Frank Haggerty, and Paul Ferranti, our auxiliary, PD, fire department, and our CSEA, always getting up extra early that these events can go on without a hitch. As acting city manager stated, the splash was bigger than ever. A heartfelt thank you to everyone, as it is one of the city's best days to shine and show the rest of the world we are more than just a beach. I'd also like to recognize Long Island Streets for the $150K grant that the city received, the other nonprofits, and the Long Beach Chamber. The CRS committee meeting met last week. I've been advocating for this not only in Long Beach, but the flood vulnerable communities on Long Island. Most of us have flood insurance through NYFA, which is FEMA. As an area at risk, we may have to pay more for our insurance as FEMA looks to change their maps. It's something I will continue to advocate against with our legislature. Meantime, we need you to take the floodplain management plan for the City of Long Beach survey. It's on the city's Facebook page as well as the city's webpage. The Spanish language version should be up soon. It is important that every business and resident submit their response. Working to get a better percentage rate is akin to your most difficult academic grader. You get a quarter point for good comma usage. City gets points for community engagement, so let's all engage. With that, I turn the proceeding back to President Bendo.
Okay, on to the calendar. Item 1 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase 2 Gillig low-floor diesel buses.
At this time, I'd ask Mike Robinson, the Director of Transportation, to come up and review this.
Okay, tonight on the agenda we have 2 buses we'd like to purchase for the Transportation Department. They will be replacing 2 buses that were damaged during Hurricane Sandy. They limped on for a couple of years. We got the FTA to agree to replace them outright. So this is kind of like, you know, when you get the FEMA thing for your house, you have to buy something that was there. So these are 2 diesel buses. I know there was some questions earlier about going 100% electric. I can't wait to go 100% electric. So the plan is that we could replace 5 buses now. There's 2 under this grant. 3 other buses did come up for their useful life, which is 10 years. We will be looking to get electric buses, but there are some things attached to that. One is the facility. The central garage facility is very old. It's older than this building that we're in now. We all know the problems that we have here. It did get 6 feet of water in it. So if we're going to do that kind of upgrade to the building, where we're going to be putting in breakers and working with LIPA to get that all done, I believe we would have to justify that to the FTA and harden the facility. We have been talking with Public Works for at least the last 2 to 3 years, looking at different spots in town to figure out, do we relocate the facility? I mean, I personally think it'd be the best thing, to get it off Long Beach Road. To raise it, you wouldn't be able to get any of the equipment in it, just not enough room on the property to do that. Also, if you're going to get an electric bus that has to get plugged in, I think it kind of defeats the purpose that you're getting the power from fossil fuels to power it. So we'd like to put solar panels on the roof, would be the long plan to say, this is a major project, we're switching over. So that's the first one. The industry itself, because New York and California are the biggest transportation buses in the industry. They both have deadlines. I believe it's 2030 and 2040 to go 100% electric. So the industry itself will start to change. To get an electric bus now, it's about $900,000. We believe that'll come down. The charge rate is about 4 hours to fully charge it. The other thing is we buy about 30-foot buses. In the industry, it's considered small. Most of them are 40-foot. So as that opens up, there'll be more options from different manufacturers to get the smaller bus. There's also been an issue with the heating systems where it's not enough power to heat the bus with the electric. So that's the plan of the department. Hopefully soon we'll be able to come back within a year to say we'd like to buy electric buses, but first obviously have a plan for the building and to get that all together. So, take any questions.
Mike, these buses, even though they're diesel, do have the clean air facilities on them also, right? They
Yeah, I mean,
regenerate.
it's the blue stuff they put in. I mean, listen, they're a lot cleaner than they were 5 years ago. Obviously, 10 years ago, anyone who's worked with trucks or seen it, they're a lot cleaner. I mean, it's not 100%. Obviously, we'd like to go electric now, but just with what we have, we want to finish up the Sandy grant, move ahead. If we were to add an electric bus now, we'd have to add additional money. I mean, we get grant money. I'm really not worried about finding funding moving forward. There's tons of funding out there for the facility, but I'd rather do that first and work on the facility.
Any questions from the council? Just one. We're piggybacking off a Connecticut DOT
Yes.
contract. I guess this is a question. I'm assuming that was the best deal we could get, was piggybacking like that?
I mean, we've always bought our buses off of piggybacking. It's just easier to get, favorable prices. So a lot of them put on options for other municipalities to buy off of our estates. I mean, as the resolution says, I believe it's going to be 18 months. It could even be longer than that because they have, a line, and we're only getting two. Where you're getting someone like New York City or, New Jersey Transit that will order a couple hundred buses at a time. So it's trying to fit in and finding the best prices.
Okay. All right, questions from the public? Mr. Paganini.
Yeah, Ron Paganini, 62 Armour Street. After the storm, as you know or you don't know, we were offered a brand new building from the federal government for our buses. Brand new, it would have cost us hardly anything. And that was the time really to strike. The train left after that one. It was a no-brainer, okay? So that building could have been built already. And we know that the city garage is really not up to snuff anymore. So when Mr. Robinson, I hate to say it, but he was here in control at that time. He blew that. I mean, almost 100% from the federal government to build a new garage. I think Mr. Mandel was here when that happened. Maybe not. Anyway. As far as these two new buses, they're two diesels, they're short buses. Who did the actual, the grant work on that? Mr. Robinson, do you know? Do you know, Mr. Miranda? He said himself and Mr. Brendan Costello. From what I know over the years, and I've been around, that grant money was available 2 years ago. We're 2 years late on those two new buses, which we need desperately. Okay, so that would make 10 buses once we get them. The hybrids are still working, which is great. I love it. At least somebody's doing their job. But we had 13 buses in that garage. And you know why we can't fit them? Because there's junk in there. Junk. 13 buses we had in there. Okay, so again, I'm getting back to that same thing again. You know, Mr. Bendo, John? I love you, baby, but I just had to say what I had to say. Thank you.
Okay, if I could just respond because I was addressed directly.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Paganini, I appreciate your comments and your time and
Yes.
the concern you take coming up here. I was here during Sandy. I was president after Sandy. We explored each and every opportunity available to this city. I don't recall any such offer of rebuilding a garage.
Okay,
and
I
maybe your
believe
memory
you.
is-
I believe you. But
maybe, sir, maybe your memory is better
no,
than
it was
mine.
there.
Sir?
It was there. It was 100% there. And we lost it. That's all. I
Sir?
mean, you can research it, but it was there. I'm just,
Sir, I'm not debating with you. Maybe your memory is better than
But
mine.
not only my memory, I was working in the garage for 28 years. I was there then. I retired in 2016, so I think I'm correct.
Sir, maybe your memory is better than mine. I'll defer to that.
No.
I can tell you as I sit up here now, each and every opportunity that was available to the city, we even extended ourselves to the hospital, and we asked if we could go in and help them because we had the National Guard here, and we had all resources available to us. If that was an option to us, my recollection is we would have explored it. I'll look into it because now I have a personal interest to double check that, but my recollection is that wasn't an option available to us.
Well,
We would have taken it.
I dispute it. Again, I'm on top of that. I was a driver and supervisor. So it might have, listen, there's a lot going on at that time.
And I was the council president. We all had our roles to play. My recollection is I don't recall that being an option.
Well, if
I'll
you
look
don't,
into
it doesn't mean you're right. I
right.
think I'm right.
Okay.
Mr. Robinson, is this FEMA money or GOSER money?
This is federal transportation money. And the question goes back to the garage is, it's 6 feet below, the water level.
Right.
You can't raise it where it currently is. The money would be available tomorrow if we wanted it. The problem is, where do we put it? You cannot raise it. You're not going to fit fire trucks. The buses aren't going to get in. That's the issue. It's not.
So you're saying you're getting money from the FTA would,
The FTA is paying for the buses.
right, but not for the garage.
garage is a mixed-use facility, so you're not going to get 90% like we get for the buses, because they're going to say, all right, what percentage of the garage is used for public transit? We work on police cars, fire trucks.
Right.
They're not going to pay for that. So they would figure it out and say, all right, it's 60%, 65% is for public transit. That's what they would pay for. 90% of that, for a new facility or for whatever. The problem is where it is located is inadequate. You're never going to be able to raise it to get it out of the flood area for us to use it as a maintenance facility. So you need a new location.
Thank you.
That's the issue.
Right. Okay, Ms. Volasevich, you still... Okay.
Just to be clear, she's not passing to me. She's just letting me go before her. In any event, Jay Gus of Long Beach. Just a couple of points of clarification. Are there still buses on the road today that were in service during Hurricane Sandy?
Mr. Robinson, I'm going to ask you to stop and please come up and talk in the microphone so everyone has an opportunity to hear you.
We have 3 buses that are currently in service that were still left over from Sandy. During the storm, some buses were parked up on the Long Beach Bridge. Some windows got blown out and stuff like that. Those are the ones that are currently operating today. They didn't get any saltwater intrusion. The buses we're replacing didn't get destroyed, but they did a lot of the evacuations afterwards. All that stuff got up into the engine compartments, into the electrical, and that's what's being replaced now. The corrosion was too far gone. We did actually look at one point to having them all redone. It was decided with the FTA that we weren't going to go that route and just to replace them.
Fair enough. I'm all for us getting some buses, and I'm all for those buses being paid for by federal funds. But I think that the council might want to consider paying a little more attention to the wording of the resolutions that are placed before it. It sounds to me like, based on Mr. Robinson's description, that these buses were not destroyed by Sandy, that they continued to operate and continued in service and continue in service till today. Again, like I say, I don't have a problem. If the federal government's giving out money, by all means, let's get online and get it. But let's be a little more careful about the wording.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing none.
Item 2 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager, excuse me, to purchase miscellaneous general hardware items on an as-needed basis.
Anytime we purchase, the city looks to purchase any type of material or supplies that may exceed 20,000. These would be, hardware type items. We need to go out for a municipal bid. We don't limit the reward to any one bidder. So we had 3 bidders. We award to all 3. And depending on the item that we're purchasing for, work that goes on day to day in repairs, we will take the best price from any one of the 3. It also does not stop us from going out and pricing it at an additional vendor where we might think we would get something more economical than what's even on the bid.
All right, just before we move on, we got to make a quick amendment to this. So I'd like to propose to amend where it says 2 bids in the resolution to 3, since we received 3 bids.
Do I have a second for this motion?
Second.
Voting to amend, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston. Yes. Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. So with that, any questions from the council?
No.
Okay. Just one. How do we, when we do these, how do we tie back, like if somebody goes up to ACE and buys supplies, how do we tie that back to a department, or is it tied back to a department, a project? Or?
Well, each department will fill out a purchase rec for a blanket order at each one of these, and it'll depend on the department. And the superintendent of the department, if he needs some hardware for a project they're working on, he'll send one of the employees to pick it up. We get a receipt for it. When it comes back, we attach all those receipts to the purchase order. When it gets near the time to pay it, it's audited by the superintendent of that department. Then it comes up to the department head. Typically, these are beach maintenance items and street maintenance. They'll come up to Public Works. Public Works will review them, audit it, and then it goes to the controller's office where they sign off, make sure it's not exceeding budget, and viewing that all the invoices are attached, and then it comes to the city manager for final sign-off.
Okay. Any questions from the public? Okay, seeing none.
Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase various chemicals on an as-needed basis for the water purification plant from the lowest responsible bidders.
Okay, these are annual bids for our treatment chemicals that we use at the water treatment plant. First, for aluminum sulfate, we received 4 bids. This bid came in 1.8 cents higher per gallon than last year. We use about 48,000 gallons a year, so it's an increase over last year of $878. We typically spend about $51,000 on those chemicals. On the hydrated lime, actually that one was a reduction of 1.8 cents. On the hydrated lime, we had an increase per ton of $5. We typically use about 88 tons a year, so that's an increased cost for next year of about $440. Of course, the usage on chemicals can change depending how much water we treat and pump.
All right, any questions from the council?
I just have one. We received 4 bids, but there's 2 listed, I guess.
No, we received 4 bids on the aluminum sulfate, and we received 2 bids on the hydrated lime bulk.
4 and 2. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the public? Mr. Lester.
Roy Lester, I'm not sure I heard that right. You said that you use about 88 tons of the hydrated lime?
That's on average, based on average flow. Some years, if we have a very wet year, we may use less. If we have a very dry year, we may use more. Generally works out to about, no more than 20 tons either way.
But the amount of money that you're talking about here, the $25 available for the remainder of this year and then another 64 for next year. That
Well-
comes out to like 423 tons. Why would you need so
Well,
much?
that includes both chemicals, the aluminum sulfate and that. We spend typically, as I said, typically we'll spend about $51,000 on aluminum sulfate in a year, and typically about $19,000 on hydrated lime, roughly.
What you're looking at should have been a new paragraph.
Okay,
It
but
was lumped in as just, it looks like it's just for the lime.
Right.
It's actually for both.
Yeah, okay. Then it
It should have been
sense.
a
All right,
different
thanks.
paragraph. Okay, any other comments? Okay, next.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of a local law amending and revising the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding the city manager. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held February 18th at 7 p.m. I believe we have an amendment on this item.
Yes, so I would like to propose an amendment that we replace what's currently listed in the this week's resolution with this updated one, which will be posted on the city website tomorrow morning.
Do I have a second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 5 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding city manager. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held February 18th at 7 p.m. I believe we have a motion on this item also.
I also like to propose an amendment to replace what's currently in the resolution with the amended changes here, which will be posted on the city webpage tomorrow morning.
Do I have a second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis. Yes. President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay, on to the voting portion. Item 1 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase 2 Gillig low-floor diesel buses. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis. Yes. President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 2 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase miscellaneous general hardware items on an as-needed basis. Would you introduce and move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Excuse me. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase various chemicals on an as-needed basis for the water purification plant for the lowest responsible bidders. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of a local law amending and revising the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding city manager. Would you just move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Excuse me. Voting, Councilmember Delory.
I just want to, before I vote yes, it's going to be on the website tomorrow. And how will the current one be removed and this
No.
one?
It'll be, I will list it with the proceedings, and it'll be listed amended item 4 and amended item 5.
Thank
There'll be
you.
a separate PDF for each.
Separate. Thank you. I vote yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
And finally, item 5 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding city manager. Would you introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
City manager's personnel report has been filed by the city clerk. Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Okay.
Scott.
Voting,
Nobody wants to
Councilmember
go home.
Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis. Yes. President Bendo.
Yes. Okay, folks, it's everyone's favorite time, good and welfare. So most people know the drill. You get 3 minutes, and now I'm just filling time until he gets back up here with the sheets. I don't know any jokes. Okay. And we got Mr. Paganini. Oh, he left? Okay. Oh, there he is.
I'm Paganini, 62 Harmon Street. I was in the back there. Did you make the proposal for the change in the charters?
Yes.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I applaud you. I applaud you that what you're doing is probably the best thing we've ever had here, okay? You got your 3 minutes. Wait till your 3 minutes. Excuse me. You basically told the parties of power that basically it's like it's over. I'm glad that you will be the guardians of the city right now, and you will watch the big shots, the managers, the commissioners, and I'm sure you're going to do it. To me, what you did was like the 30 years working for the city. It's like the Declaration and the U.S. Constitution all in one. Thank you.
Okay. So just for clarification, we didn't actually, it isn't passed, we just noticed the public hearing for it, which will be at the next meeting.
But, Mr. Paganini, I'd just like to add, as you well know, during the season of campaigning, I think it was almost universally talked about from every single candidate, yourself included, myself, whether you're there or here.
It don't matter.
It just doesn't matter, right?
No.
And I don't think anybody objected. A lot of people didn't understand it, but the specific nature of the changes, I have to give a lot of credit to a lot of people up here who did a lot of work.
I can see it's a full effort with all you guys, and I really do appreciate it. And I can't thank you enough. Like I said, 30 years with the city. I've seen it all. Okay, and basically, you're doing a great thing. I'm all for you. I'm still for you. You still got time to make the changes you have to make, and good luck, and thank you.
Thank you.
Robin Donovan.
Robin Donovan, 8 Clark Street. Within recent origin, Long Beach was rated one of the 2 top financially distressed cities in the state. We were facing to float a $2 million bond issue to pay off present debts, and yet I do not see any actions to start working on an emergency budget that may include, but not limited to, a hiring freeze, reduction in services, or even possible layoffs. As a concerned resident, I want issues addressed. I do not see it being done or have not heard of it yet by you, the City Council, or the acting city manager. Please explain.
Okay, I'm not sure. I mean, we're starting our budget cycle right now for the next fiscal year, and our new comptroller is hunkering down with the department heads along with the acting city manager. They're going to have some marching orders about what can and can't happen. Obviously, the focus right now is staying on budget for this year to make sure we stay on budget, but I'm not sure what we have to have a picture of what's going on before we start taking steps, which is what is going on right now. We're getting a picture of what's going on. Otherwise, it's a shotgun, it's a scattergun process otherwise.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Right. The budget process this year is starting 2 months earlier than it normally would start. So I guess people don't see it because this is happening in the office
I know,
from
but
9 to 5.
I've lived here 20 years, and I'm becoming involved, and it is
That's good.
It's a concern.
Sure.
And it's an emergency.
Yep.
Ms. Donovan, my name is Karen, and we are in the midst of communicating some objectives and criteria that we expect from Mr. Mirando in terms of the current year budget and next year's budget. These expectations will be clearly stated, explicit, and that we expect that they will be followed.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Antonia Petrash.
Good evening. My name's Antonia Petrash. I live in Glen Cove. I'm the founder and president of the Long Island Women's Suffrage Association. I have some packets here for you, if I could ask you to please. As you know, that the 2020 is the centennial of it's not only an important election year, but it's the centennial of women getting the vote, the ratification of the 19th Amendment in August. I have been trying for almost 2 years now to have a historical marker placed on the boardwalk in Long Beach honoring a suffragist. Long Beach was a very busy place in the suffrage years. It was very active in the suffrage movement, and the hotels had suffrage conferences and suffrage speeches. And one of the women in particular, Edna Buckman Kearns, would go to outside Long Beach Hotel and give out pamphlets and have a wagon and have voiceless speeches. So Long Beach was very active in the suffrage movement. What I'm asking from you is a letter of permission saying that I will be able to place the marker. Then I can go for funding. The Pomeroy Foundation is funding markers across the nation and across the island. So I will be able to get funding, hopefully, if I get permission from the city to place it. And I'm also asking, once we get it, that the city of Long Beach install it. It would be appropriate to have it near Riverside Boulevard, which is where the hotel was. We're hoping that you can do that. It has to be on property that the city controls. It can't be a county road or something that the city doesn't control. I have also gotten funding for 2 markers, one in Glen Cove and one in Huntington, and we were very successful in that. It's a very popular thing, and I'm hoping that you agree with me and that you will give me a letter of permission. It's all in your packet there. You have a sample from the city of Glen Cove, from the mayor of Glen Cove that he signed 3 years ago. There's also a picture of Edna Buckman Kearns in the wagon, and the hotel is behind her. And you also have an article from the New York Times telling you the whole story. So I would appreciate it. Thank you.
I just have a question. Do you have an actual location of a marker of where you want this
Pretty
placed?
much near Riverside Boulevard. That's
No,
where that's where the Nassau Hotel was.
So you would.
So we would like to put it on the boardwalk where more people could see it.
Is it the same size that's in this photo?
Yes.
Or something?
Yes, but I don't think the boardwalk was here then. So.
No, I mean the picture that you have in Glen Cove, the plaque.
Oh, that's
that
just a sample. That's
okay,
the one
so
we
is
have
that
in Glen
something?
Cove.
Is that the same size? You know.
Yes, it's exactly
Okay.
the same. The Pomeroy Foundation has very strict regulations about the lettering and the colors and everything else. So
I appreciate this.
It would look like that.
Love Long Beach history, and
Okay, so
I don't know what the next step is.
I'm going to ask the city managers. We have your contact information, so
Okay.
he'll contact you, and you two can coordinate on what you need to get.
Yes, I need the letter for the funding. The funding window opens again in April. And I did speak to Pomeroy last night, and they said if I can get my ducks in a row, I have a very good chance of funding for this one as well.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mary Volasevich.
Good evening, Mary Volasevich, Long Beach. First off, I'd like to thank the lifeguards, firefighters, police department, and the CSCA beach maintenance for taking care of everybody at the Polar Bear event. Okay. I have 2 questions. Are you still being advised by Mr. I don't know how to say his name.
Madonia?
Molinari?
Occasionally, yeah.
And do all of you meet with him?
No.
No?
No.
Oh. Okay. And is there a reason why you don't all meet with him? Because, you know, the more, it gives people more to put into the discussion if everybody's there.
It's just a matter of if we do talk to them, who can make it. It's not everybody's invited.
Okay. And have we ever been paid for the 2 LBGT events in town here? I know they owed us some money. Did we ever get the money? And if we didn't get the money, why did you allow them to have a second one? Who are we looking at? The comptroller?
They just owe us. We've billed them for the last event. They paid us for the first event, and they haven't paid us for the second event yet. They have been billed for it. Generally, it takes till they get their grant from the state for them to make the payment to us.
Okay, and I read somewhere that they're in a little financial trouble. So
Well, they didn't get a grant this year from the state, but this would be last year's grant for the one they ran last summer here. So those grants take a while to come through. Once the grant comes through, they'll make the payment to us, as far as I'm
okay,
concerned.
well, I don't have a problem with their events, but they should pay it in a timely manner. You know, I can't say to you, I got to wait for a check to pay my taxes. They should pay it in a timely manner. We waited a long time for the first one. You weren't involved in that. But we waited a long time for that first one. We're in dire straits financially, and they should not be allowed, I'm sorry, to have an event if they owe money. They should not go on a calendar to have an event if they owe money.
Just for informational purposes, since they did not get a grant this year from the state, they are not having their event here in Long Beach this year.
Okay, Scott Hananel and Alex, and the handwriting is, I'm going to say Mogaleski? Or?
It was very close for that handwriting. Okay. We live on Heron Street. I'm Alex, that's Scott.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's unusual. We talked earlier about floodplain and the floodplain. So about 3 years ago, I wrote a memo. Actually, I wrote several memos with photos of flooding on Heron Street to members of the City Council. That's how we met Mr. Mirando, and he informed me of a project that was underway, just starting.
Could you just step up to the mic so people can hear you?
From Gosar to do something about flood control other than talk about it. And I don't know if any of you have been down to Heron Street, but it's kind of interesting to watch what's being done because we're getting some bulkheading in there that's at standards, and they're doing an excellent job of it. And I don't think we would have gotten that without the support of the council, without the support of John and John's team and the work they did. Because apparently getting money from Gosar or from the federal government requires a little bit more than one telephone call. Okay, so we've started the work. It's going reasonably well for a project of this magnitude and size. I anticipate we'll have some bumps with it. That's normal for large projects. The contractor's doing a pretty good job. You know, I got to look at it every day. Scott does as well. So, you know, congratulations. You got a great start. Something's working well. And now you're faced with the problem of succeeding with the success because the public lands are just a small piece of the floodplain and the flood control problem. So I'm expecting the council and Mr. Mirando and Mr. Mirando's team to show some leadership in identifying other mitigants to help flood control in the city. But congratulations on a good start. Thank you. Scott?
Yes. So I've been living, I'll step up here. I've been living in Long Beach for now more than half my life. I own multiple properties in Long Beach. Combined, I pay well into $60,000 on property taxes. And that's just 2 properties in Long Beach. One of them does happen to be on the water. With that being said, I've experienced multiple administrations, and I've dealt with multiple heads at Public Works, and I've dealt with multiple city managers. And I had gotten absolutely shunned, abused would be probably a better word, by Mr. Schnurman to be specifically, and Mr. Lackaruba to be specifically, who never once, even with us sending videos, sending emails, that my children, who I have 4, were late to school 6 to 9 times a year because on high tide, we had knee-high deep water, being the last house on Reynolds Channel. I know my time's up, but Alex has 3, and I'm going to take my 3 if that's okay. I'd appreciate it. I'll finish up here in a quick second.
All right, just wrap up then
Sure.
quickly, please.
So to make this quick, I will say this. I had no communication whatsoever with anybody before John took over. None. John has been a savior for my block and my family. I would have picked up and moved. I mean, we were years into third world country living, and that was out of the mouth of Senator Todd Kaminsky, who also helped out and came down and saw what was going on, which was only going on at the north end of the canals. So nobody really knew about it, aside from the people that lived at the north end of the canals. So I want to say thank you, John, and for his crew that got a hold of this and communicated every step of the way. And when I tell you every step of the way, returned every phone call, showed up at the end of the block, put together meetings on the block with homeowners. So thank you, John. Really appreciate that. And one other thing, I'll say this too. For people that don't know this, me and John started as a business relationship trying to shore up the block, and it's developed into a personal relationship. So I know something about John. I know the city council knows this too. But maybe not everybody in Long Beach knows this, and I think they should. And without being specific, all right, John has been going through a family tragedy in his life for quite some time now that I don't know if anybody in this room, including myself, would be able to handle and be able to even come to work every day, let alone be here in the morning and be here at this time in the evening. John, I love you, okay? I know what you're going through. I know the council knows what he's going through, and I've seen this man cry. I've seen my father cry. I've seen my grandfather cry. 2 most respectful men in my life. Don't tell me, all right, you're being disrespectful. Have some empathy, okay? If you know, then you should be ashamed for saying that. This is a great man who loves his family, and I love you. Great job.
Thank you.
I just want to say I was not on the council before when your project started, but when I saw the Heron Street project on the table in January, my biggest concern was after the project was starting, the phone calls or the emails from residents not knowing. And it appears to me, based upon what you just said, that there was ample communication in advance letting everybody know what was going on. And thank you.
Okay, Tom Nag.
Good evening. My name is Tom Knag. I've lived on the Great Walks community for over 40 years. Lived in Long Beach 4 years prior. Worked in Long Beach for 4 years prior to living here. In all these years I've been here, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of Long Beach politics over all these years. The reputation of our local leaders has been tarnished over the years because a few people put themselves above the tax-paying residents' best interest. With this, it seems like anyone who sits where you folks are become targets for many negative accusations for the wrong reasons. Tonight, I come here to speak on behalf of John Miranda. I have known John for over 50 years. John and I grew up in Rockville Center together. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We went to high school together. We socialized together. I can tell you that John is a very dedicated family man, very good friend, and a strong supporter of his community. In Rockville Center, he served as fire chief and many other positions and did many other things for his community. There was never anything that John wouldn't do for anyone else. He put anyone else above his own. John recently made his residence in Long Beach and wants to give his all to making Long Beach a better place to live. I hope everyone in our city can look at John for what he can and will do and not categorize him as another Long Beach politician. Personally, I would trust John Miranda with my life. And with that, I also, well, what these gentlemen just said also is very true. I certainly, when he spoke, definitely knew what he was talking about. With that, I would like to add a little bit, since I have a little time left, I guess. I would like to ask all the residents of Long Beach who love to remind us of the problems that we have here, instead, bring solutions to the problems. We have a very diverse city with smart people from all walks of life, and there are many people who have great ideas and they need to speak and contribute positive thoughts. Let's make 2020 the year of the solution, not the problem. Good luck to this new council. I truly, wholeheartedly believe that you guys are going to do a great job. I've been supporting you since the election, and hopefully everything will turn out great in Long Beach. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nag, I just want to say thank you for your service on the CRS committee, as well as when you decorate December Walk for the children. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for also, coming up and telling a good story. A lot of times, all we hear at Good and Welfare is the bad. It's nice to hear the good, too, for some people sometimes.
That's my point.
So with that, thank you. Nora Egan, who's going to come up with more good news.
John Bender, yeah, I'll tell you a story. Nora Egan, just two questions really quickly. Where are the RFPs? Are they in this paper, or where are the bids? Where do I find them?
They're in, well, yeah, you want to answer? You better.
Turn it on, sorry. They do get published in the Tribune. They are listed on the website, and they're also listed through BidNet.
Where on the website do I find them?
If you search for RFPs, it'll come up to the purchasing section, which it'll show RF. I'm trying to remember the exact title of it. I think it says vendors and RFPs. I believe is the title.
Okay. And then my second question, is Mr. Carpizzola still on payroll, or have we terminated him?
Mr. Carpizzola was never on payroll.
Well, I mean, is he still here for the city, somewhere representing some group of the city?
He's still available if needed.
And is he still being paid by, and if yes, by who? If he's needed.
Well, if he does any work for us, he's paid by the city.
By the city. Okay. And how much has he been paid again? I know at one point it was 90 something.
I haven't seen an invoice in a while because he hasn't done any work in a while.
I haven't seen an invoice in a while either, but I can look into it, and if you'd like, come by the office if you have a question.
Sure.
The last number I saw, which was
90
a few
some?
months ago, was 92,000, but that was a while ago. Yeah.
So he hasn't done anything since, hopefully? Not?
We can get back to you with a definitive answer.
Or should I reach out to Mr. Berrios?
We will get back to you.
Okay. And actually, just speaking of that, I did email all of you, and I didn't get a reply from anybody except Mr. Delory.
I'm sorry, when did you send the email, today, or was it
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
The last
ago?
city council meeting.
And I
The day
replied?
after the last city council meeting.
Okay.
Can you repeat what you wrote? It was about a city manager?
Yeah. But I didn't get a reply from anybody except Mr. Delory. Just when you just say that you're going to... Oh, yeah, but an acknowledgement of an email would be appreciated from...
Okay.
Thank you.
Eileen Hessian.
Just acknowledging that people send an email and say, you got it.
Yeah. Eileen Hessian. Dave, would you mind handing this out? I'm not even sure there's enough of them, but before I mention this, I'd like to thank the City Council and the City Manager for responding to me regarding a problem that I had brought up at the last meeting. I just handed out a picture to you of the 2 pools in the Hebrew Academy. They are really an attractive nuisance. They're full of water. You can see the kids have already gotten over the fence and over there because there's graffiti. There are broken bottles. There are broken windows. The playground area is unsightly, but I'm really more concerned about this attractive nuisance. The people who own the Hebrew Academy should come and clean it up and take care of it so it's not a hazard. But I'm afraid if somebody does get hurt there, the first one to sue is them, but I have a feeling that the city might be liable as well. So that's it. The second thing is I know the work sessions have been described as the Thursday in between the 2 city council meetings, and I think also described as the 3rd Thursday of the month, but it didn't quite work out right on my calendar. So I'm just hoping that you will continue to advertise the dates when you'll be having the work sessions. Thank you.
I just have one question.
For
These
me?
yes, Ms. Hessian. These pictures, is there a date or a timestamp or are they?
I took them on Super Bowl Sunday.
So these are very recent.
Yeah.
I remember this was a similar issue that was brought up maybe a year or 2 ago about the pool and the draining. Would you say that from these pictures this is, I can't tell if it's dirt, rainwater, or...
It's dirty rainwater, but there's a lot of water in there. I mean, a kid could drown in there, you know.
Okay.
But it's also gross. It's probably not a good health thing to have there.
Ms. Hessian, have you given a copy of this picture to Mr. Kemmons? Have you seen this?
I did not.
So, the city manager's, he'll send the buildings department over there.
Okay. Thank you.
To look into it. Mr. Lester.
Roy Lester. Okay, in keeping with the spirit, I'll start out with a suggestion. At school board, we always used to put the proclamations on the agenda. I know I've mentioned it before. It would be really nice if we know that there are going to be proclamations, and it's kind of nice for the people who are getting it to see their names on the agenda and they have a souvenir and stuff like that. It's really just a little bit of printing and really not too much to do, so if you could maybe do it. Then I have some questions. Mr. Capizzola, is he still retained by the city? I couldn't quite get an answer here.
Yeah, the retainer was not canceled in the event he was needed for anything either.
So he's still retained by the city?
He's still retained, yes.
Okay.
And for that specific reason.
And do you know how much we've paid Ingram and Smith so far?
Ingram and Smith is our counsel for several issues, so that, can you specify your question, please?
No, because paying Ingram Smith, it's one firm. So I don't know what they're your counsel for. Nobody knows what they're your counsel for. So if you know, that's why I asked as general. And I'm glad that they're your counsel. I'm not criticizing that. I'm just asking what they've cost us. but it's not that.
Yeah, I don't have it in
if
front
you
of
don't
us.
know,
We can find out and let you know.
If you can find out, yeah. Did we ever hire a search firm for the city manager search, or is that abandoned, or where are we with that?
It's in progress.
It's getting to be a familiar word, but okay, good.
What?
Yeah, could you please hurry up on that?
Yeah, what is what in progress?
In progress, it's every time I ask, or every time anyone asks, we're being told it's in progress. But that's all right.
Well,
the
we'll make
other
it
question, the bulkhead on Heron Canal, the bulkheading, that's about 6 feet high right now. I mean, it's huge. And are they going to cut that down to make it even with the other bulkheading, the newer bulkheading that's at the end of the block? No. It's going to stay that height?
It's going to stay. It's going to stay at elevation 9. That's one of the lowest roads down in the canal section. The elevation of the road in that section is 4 feet. Wow. So the height, the actual height, will end up being 5 feet when it's done. But when we do finally get to do a road reconstruction on that, we are going to raise that road somewhat when we do the utility construction down there.
But now you have the bulkhead at the end, so the water will just come over that.
That bulkhead is not that far off of it, and
It is, John. Take a look at it.
I'm
right
down
across
there
the street.
every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I see it every day, and it is quite a difference. You know, maybe 3 or 4 feet, which is
No.
a lot.
No, it's
Okay.
not 3 or 4 feet.
I'll bring pictures. Okay, now the other side of the street, you were going to do a bulkheading, and the city would charge people in their taxes. Whatever happened to that? You had to sign up for it, and then
still there, right?
Never heard
Well,
anything.
as far as I,
Yeah, the program is still there. We're speaking to bond counsel. We have to work on this issue of being able to use bond money on private property. So what we have to work out on is how we can come up with an easement with the property owners in order to do that bulkhead. Because you can't take money, the money would come from a bond, but the bonding company or a bond counsel has recommended we can't do that for work on a private property. So even though they're reimbursing us for it, so we're working on legally how do we do this easement to get the bulkhead in and then be able to bond it. So,
Okay.
and we actually have about 25 applications so far.
Yeah, we just never heard anything after we signed up. Which reminds me, Boyd Street was going to be done. That was one of those things. Any idea
Yeah,
when that-
design is still going on. That probably won't take place till maybe the fall this year.
Okay. And the city charter, the vote for that, is that going to be the meeting after the hearing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just made it.
All right, Steve Camden. Two more.
Hello, Steve Camden, 10 West Beach Street. Roy's last question might have been the question, but I might have heard the answer. The timing of how this works for the city charter changes, how does it work from this point forward? How do people look at it, like you said, online?
Right.
And then when are the public hearings that we actually talk about it, and when is the expected time to ask for a vote on it?
So tonight the public hearing was noticed. Tomorrow the updated changes will be on the website. The next meeting will be the public hearing for the changes. So obviously people can come up, give their input. Any changes that need to be made can be made. And then the following meeting, which would be the first meeting of March, would be the meeting where we would potentially vote on it.
And the last question would be then, if people have suggestions besides at the meetings, is there another format to get suggestions or comments to the council? Best way to do that on this matter?
You can email us.
Just
Yeah.
straight email is
Sure.
the best way. After you read the new one.
Yeah, comment on the one that's going to be posted tomorrow, not
Right.
the one
and
that's
then
there now.
ongoing
'cause it's-
comments can be made in email from that point that are relevant.
Yep.
Okay.
I would suggest when you email everybody.
if
I mean,
people
all
want to
council
email,
members, city manager.
they shouldn't just do it to the city manager, and then that would happen automatically.
Well,
that's what
I
I would
don't
think
wanna-
people would think of is just go to you, thinking it would be going across the board. Is that wrong?
I would
Safer to go
email
right?
all of us just because you don't want anybody to overlook it, and some people have different comments.
If I get any of that or just emailed directly to me, I will share them with the council.
Okay. Thank you. And by the way, all the comments that were positive to you guys, dittoed. You know, I mean, thank you very much for all the hard work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Joshua Siegel. Oh, sorry.
Joshua Siegel, 59 West Penn, and also a business owner of Cafe of Life Chiropractic. Congratulations to all the new city council members. Thank you for really becoming cohesive. And I think the city really needs to evolve instead of revolve. And, you know, we've seen in the city the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So I really see a big difference. But one thing I came here tonight to share was the character of John Mirando. And through Rockville Center and his volunteer in the Freeport Fire Department, I mean, I see a man here who has an amazing heart. You know, you can't train on heart. To see what he's doing in his family right now, going through a major challenge, he's dedicated his life. To me, that's something that you've seen in this position. People have used this for a political stepping stone to the next step and to get a bigger career. This guy has no political agenda. He's got a heart of gold. And I think that's what this city really needs, something about being cohesive and working with the city council. So I just see a man here who's just an amazing human being, and I thank him for what he's literally stepped into. You know, a lot of the things he hasn't chosen, but with all this crap going on, he's really doing what he says he does, and he's a man of his word, and really a man of God and his family. So thank you for being who you are. For the city council, when it comes to this charter, my question is have you looked at mirror other cities in New York State to see what they're doing? You know, a lot of times, you know, we use school lawyers or school attorneys, and they know the schools. But to look at a city charter, that there are so many details in that maybe we just don't know about it, and I know this is a new stepping stone for the city council. Have you looked at other cities in New York to see what they're doing and to see what's really worked? But also to see, you know, this is not an overnight process, as we know, but to really make permanent changes for the good of the city. You know, as a business owner here and raising a 4-year-old, I love this city. I mean, I love taking care of the community. And one of my secretaries, Lady Maureen Llewellyn, who's been part of this community forever, and you know, she's just no bullshit. And so I think that this is what we need right now, but to look at everything in small sequential steps to get the most out of everything instead of making, you know, not that it's happening, but fly by the seat of our pants, but really thinking about A to Z to see what's best in the long outcome. Just like, you know, one of the things that I know that John mentioned with the dunes and the engineering stuff. I mean, someone who has an engineering background thinks differently. He thinks differently how things work. So we need to look at every aspect. So the question is with the city charter, what is the process and the plan to really get the most out of this to benefit the community?
Well, like I said, you know, I would suggest you look tomorrow morning. It's at the changes. They're pretty straight. They're pretty straightforward. The way the charter worked, I think it was 1939, I believe. Long Beach switched from a mayoral system to the city council system. But they never updated the city charter to really reflect the new form of government. They literally went in and where it said mayor, kind of lined it out and wrote city manager, and then a few pages in got bored and stopped even doing that. So the charter's not reflective of the form of, really of the form. There's stuff in the charter, we were talking about it before the meeting, there's stuff in the charter that this city hasn't done in decades. So it's a severely out-of-date document. So what we're trying to do is, and this is not a sweeping overhaul by any means, so we're making some step changes here to try to bring the document up to current how the city's being run.
Awesome. Well, I know this is a thankless job, but I wanted to just say thank you to each of you. I really appreciate you. Have a great night.
Thanks. And for the second meeting in a row, our anchor man, Jay Gussler. Whoa! Okay, and with that, thank you for coming, folks, and get home safe.
Congratulations on your first meeting. I'll give this to Mr.